Charles, Project Charles. I'm in pain all the time. So not only am I on this thing about ending the problem of this extinction event, where 7 animals per person per second were no longer supported by the earth. Um, but this thing on Painkiller, Netflix series, I thought I'd go over it and talk about the problem with getting a codeine prescription. Uh, yeah, they have a problem because the woman that they talk about doing the, taking down the people that put out OxyContin, um, about, they talk about how, the bad things about the people that did it. But, yeah, they're greedy. Yeah, they're like thieves. Greedy. And they got billions of dollars. But like they say that they're the gatekeepers to pain. And as someone in pain that likes to take care of pain, I find it horrific that the people that put my mom to death, the death with dignity people, were okay with not getting category 4 cancer removed, or stage 4 breast cancer that my mom had removed because it would lead to too much pain. Yet they were against my mom taking a painkiller to get rid of the pain. So, not only am I left with mom being one of the biggest advocates for healthcare for all, I'm also dealing with the fact that the people in death with dignity do not like people taking codeine, and they're not into giving out codeine, and they just go against the 10 Commandments and will steal codeine and throw it away. I guess sacrificing the kingdom of heaven in order to protect their children from codeine and cigarettes, and to steal from the cigarette people that smoke. $6,500 last year the Christians took from me due to me smoking. Thank you very much for stealing $6,500, and to benefit children, because you don't have enough money to pay for your kids, so you steal from smokers. I understand. You justify it. But this crap about not giving people with stage 4 breast cancer codeine because you're upset that they might get addicted to it, or, give me a fucking break. Anyhow, the first note that I have is in 26 minutes of the thing, stating how they're the gatekeepers of pain. Yes. They provide a pill that helps people get rid of pain. As someone who's been told that I'll be in pain for the rest of my life, it's something that I really care something about, and this needs to stop. I'm just totally disgusted. 2648. She doesn't give a shit about the motivation. Yeah. That's plain. She's, on a mission. Yeah, right after that, they ask her what motivated her, and she lies and stated that was work. No, what motivated her was her mom was a drug addict, and I guess lived apart from her and died. And she's blaming, Purdue. 2939 or whatever. She's having fun, and that's one of the reasons why she's doing it. It also, she was saying that she's good at it, and it's people like her that help run the world and make sure that it continues running, and she was good at it, and she was having fun. That's what she states. In the 29 minutes, again, she says that essential to the plan was to make sure that nobody knew what it was. No, they wanted people to know what the drug was. They wanted it out there and the people know about it. It's not essential to their plan to keep it quiet. Yeah, they took one type of opioid and switched it for another type of opioid, but it's not necessarily stronger because they have different dosages. Possibly, possibly I'm wrong on that, but I don't see anything to state that, it's actually a higher type of an opioid than morphine. And morphine is more associated with death than, I guess, oxycodone, codeine. And, China's been using a form of codeine for what they use it for 2,000 years in really low doses, like a cup of tea at the end of the day. And then it was brought to the United States, and we got crazy with it. But 32, yeah, it's a little dangerous. There's a lot of dangerous stuff, and they said, so be careful. So, we'll see.
Doctor's card. Richard had his big
33 minutes in. Yeah, they talk about abuse as a problem. Yeah. People who don't get painkillers will try to find something to heal their pain. There are different options I could take. I could go to the street and see if I could get help on the street with my pain, and have to hope that the person that I'm dealing with isn't mixing the medication with fentanyl. That's a real problem. And it's a real problem because people can't get, oxycodone over the counter. So they have to go someplace else to get good painkiller. Yes, if all the teenagers in the country could get as much oxycodone that they want, a few of them might abuse it. Yes, there are kids that abuse everything, and if they can't get a hold of that, they'll sniff glue. I mean, it's horrific, but I'm in pain. I don't, why should I care about everybody else that's going to abuse it? I'd like to live a life too. Put an automatic jail sentence in for somebody that gives somebody else, painkillers that's not in pain. And 35, they're going to give a lot of people their lives back and take a lot of pain away. Undisputable. 36. They got hot college students who they recruited, and she says they programmed the shit out of them. They helped them sell their product, and yeah, every sale is gonna, you know. Let's talk about whether or not it deals in pain. If you have any disputes about that, the way they sell it seems to be wrong. But hell, um, no. Next thing, they're trying to advertise the painkiller. They're stating that the pain um, just needs to be medicated. No, there's many treatments for pain that needs to be done. That's only the one of the things that needs to be done if you're dealing with pain. The other thing is not to make yourself in pain and try to stay away from things that give you pain. Then they show the people talking to the people that are going to instruct the doctors, telling them how it's going to give people a beautiful, life-transforming, stuff. Yeah, if my mom wasn't in pain the last 2 years of her life and she was given codeine and it made her go around without being in pain all the time, I think that would have been life transforming for her, and I think it would have made me feel better and made my mom feel better about her last few years of life. Sorry, you know. 42 minutes, his wife's sitting there telling them that he's fine and that everything is going to be okay. He's in so much pain, he can't make it to the bathroom. No, he's not fine. My next big complaint about the healthcare industry, when it's talking about pain, I need to go for healthcare for all because this other system that we're using is like crap. The rich people want to make more and more and more and more money. So we need to allow them to have bank accounts where they get really good interest on it. So they get the fuck out of the healthcare industry. And they get the fuck out of buying properties for everybody. All the properties like 10 times what it should be. I could use a few acres of land to work on my project, but anyhow, yeah, so they have a chart of how much pain you are in, and they have little from a happy face to a sad face, and they ask the patient how much pain, what pain level you're in. I've been in some really bad situations, and I've experienced some really extreme pain, like when your bones are set in place because of a problem with my leg. I had a cast put on it, and then when I went and bent it for the first time, and the calcium built up on it, and that calcium buildup was just like sharp pain, like you couldn't believe, and that's painful. And you're asking people to judge on a category. What about people that haven't gone through that sort of pain? The whole level of asking that someone to sit there and judge their pain level on a scale, it's BS. It's not scientific at all. Yeah, the directions for taking it for this type of pain that he's in is for constant pain throughout the day. Someone like me, I would have pain that would be exasperated by doing crap. Um, Sometimes I'm in pain in the morning, and medicate myself and whatever, but pain is like, if I'm like lying down doing nothing, um, I could kind of get by. But I, when my back gets stressed out, the pressure gets put up against the nerves, and that pressure on the nerves is causing me to be in extreme pain, and that's when I need the painkillers. And if I'm not going to have painkillers, I'm not going to get in pain, and I'm not going to do shit. Oh yeah, so for me, it wouldn't be take one in the morning and take one at night. It'd be take one when you're in fucking pain. Selling hope to people she's complaining about that are in need. No, he's selling pain relief to people in pain. And it's not some far off fantasy. 4830. The most addictive substances are cocaine, methamphetamine, and then comes opioids, where 2.7 million people use opioids, or having opioid use disorder. So it looks like the drugs of choice are cocaine and methamphetamine. Um, Also, if you look at the numbers of people, alcohol is way on top, seconded by nicotine as number of people that are addicted on the top five uh, addictive chemicals. And alcohol has 28.3 million people. Should we go to the age of, restricting alcohol use? It affects the dopamine levels. Affects, and that's going to affect your award center in your brain. Um, let's get rid of alcohol too. You know. Um, okay, a little sidetracked here. I was looking at the top five addictive substances, and it talks about opioids, and one of the factors in the addictive mess that you get into when taking opioids is the receptors on the nerves will stop working as well and relieving the pain using different forms of opioids, and therefore more and more painkillers are needed in order to have the same pain relief. Now, with heroin and other heavier, or maybe not heavier, but different opioids, they will have much more of this than the codeine or oxycodone does. The oxycodone has a less of additional stuff needed to have the same form of pain relief. That's not to say that you won't need more, because most people who are experiencing pain for the rest of their lives, if not treated, are just going to have more and more pain. And if you're using pain relief, then yeah, you're going to need more pain relief to deal with the extra pain that you're getting from the furtherment of your problems. That's just a fact. Um, Also, the fact that they talk about the drug overdose deaths. Um, if you have any amount of codeine in your body, they will say it's an overdose, no matter if it's the reason for your death or not. That's why the overdose deaths are so high. Even that guy that had the cop pin him down and suffocate him, it was called an overdose of codeine because he had codeine in his system because he had something that caused him pain. And rather than go through life in pain, he went through his life with codeine. I guess many people do. Um, yeah, opioids are potent drugs. Um, and they say how uh, once the opioids slow down the GABA neurons, dopamine floods the brain's circuits, resulting in a wave of pleasure and pain relief. Um, you know, and these effects reinforce the idea that the brain is taking opioids as a rewarding experience, i.e., it affects the reward center, and it does lead to increased use and addiction. Um, Fact of life. Is that a reason not to take it? Not to me. Not to someone who's going through pain and likes a painkiller that's not going to kill him as long as he doesn't abuse it. And yes, it's one of the worst drugs to abuse. You know, if I wanted to get my award center pleasured, cocaine is a much more, I'm sure. But I'm not into that. And right now with fentanyl, good luck.
We do not choose our family.
Yeah, episode 2 at 3 minutes. She admits that it takes the pain for a little while away. That's what a pill does. Pill's not going to take the pain away forever. You'll need more. At 4:58, she's making it seem like the people selling the drug are like horrific because of the way they went in that office and talked to the doctor, and it's like I didn't see anything horrific about that whatsoever. That's how you know, that's how they work. You know, um, Maybe it was if we had health care for all, but yeah, doctors going to listen to the pharmaceutical industry, um, and they wanted them to sell more OxyContin rather than other painkillers. Um, Give a free 25 day supply so that people could respond to how it is, and the doctor would find out, oh, it relieves pain quite well. All the patients, if the patients like it, you know, I don't see that as a bad tactic, and if unless we want to go for healthcare for all, you gotta let the industry do what the industry does. Either that or restrict it. No, they're not selling heroin like magazine subscriptions. Heroin is sold to people on the street. Um, they're selling their pain subscriptions to people that the doctor feels would be relieved with using painkillers. That's not a good comparison. Next, she talks about safe. if her car's safe, and safe is just like, anything you want. Is smoking safe? You know, it's not really that safe, but yet, you know, some things are done. Yeah, polluting the air with greenhouse gases more and more when you're told that it's going to have dire consequences on the world, and just keep extracting them and extracting them. And it's not just the USA, it's all the countries. All the countries have been involved in the destruction of the Earth's environment since the year 2000 BC. You know, people populate, they destroy the environment, then they go elsewhere and destroy that environment. Then they whine about how, oh no, there's a starvation event on the earth, 2 billion people in food insecurity. Just wait until people start dying billion a year of starvation. I'm worried that it's going to happen in the next 5 years. You know, talk about what's safe. She says it's a Schedule 2 narcotic. Yeah, it's a real fucking painkiller. That's why they schedule it. 9 minutes is episode 2, by the way. Same as the last one or 2 or whatever. 9 minutes, they're talking about how the yeah, and so there was doctors that were prescribing it, and mass, prescribing it to, and these doctors were known bad doctors, going along with bad pharmacists possibly, but the pharmacists were filling the orders and sending them out. It's the doctors that dealt with the mass bringing out of drugs to people that didn't have problems, but they went after and were questioning regarding the patients that had actual medical problems as well. You know, why do that? Looks like a little bit of overzealousness over there. But yeah, I see that they're a junkie going after that. Bad news. 12 minutes. They're saying that heroin and all the opioids made from poppy seed are the same. No. Like I said, Chinese had used it for 2,000 years in small doses. It's like a Coke for a pet-me-up. They would use the tea to calm them down after a long day's work. In really low doses, though. They're not all the same, and not all the doses that you take are the same. And do they work? Yeah. And why do you give it to cancer patients? Because it's an actual drug that works on the pain that cancer patients are suffering over other types of drugs. Why don't they just give Tylenol to cancer patients, Because Tylenol doesn't work like codeine. Why do they give oxycodone to cancer patients? Because it works. Yeah, she's a fucking drug dealer with a ponytail. That's no reason to yell at her like a crazy madman. That's what pharmaceuticals sell, is drugs. They're in the business to sell painkillers. Yeah, similar. You can make the argument that could be anything. 15 minutes. Yeah, this really gets me because, like, the guy's in a lot of pain, and his wife is sitting there being the doctor and bitching at him and keeping him from taking another painkiller. Now, it looks like that during the day when he's working on lifting tires and the machinery, his pain is getting worse. So, yeah, taking another painkiller, but it's like you don't need an extreme painkiller all the day. You know, you could use a little boost now or then, and just as long as you don't take like more than two during the 12 hours, um, you shouldn't be anywhere near the rate that would cause your heart to stop, depending on your dosage. But the way they tell you to prescribe it in this makes it so that either you're on the small dosage or you get up to the next dosage up. But if you take two of the small during the extreme pain times, then during that extreme pain, it'd be like you're on the next dosage up, and you only need to do that during the time that you need that. Um, the FDA is ruling on uh, dictating how and when, and the rate is kind of ridiculous. And for the wife to sit there and play medical doctor, of course, is, being someone that deals with pain, I could see the concern, but if she knew the science, then she could, like, shut the fuck up. And the doctors go along with the ridiculous arguments that don't make sense, and expecting the patients and the family of the patients to go along with it. Um, you know, this is unscientific BS. Um, how can you respect the people? How can you respect the FDA? How can you respect the doctor to go along with it? Um, Another break was listening to the withdrawal symptoms of OxyContin, and you know, says the initial, it could take 10 days, and they're worried about 10 days of going through withdrawals of, you know, and I'm going through pain. Um, Fuck, I'll take the 10 days of withdrawal. Doesn't sound that horrific to me. It says intense cravings. I used to take it 2-3 days a week. The cravings, I didn't notice those. No, I didn't have. It says nausea and vomiting. I didn't notice that. Any vomiting. Um, when I take it, I'd want to eat food when I take it, so I didn't get the bad stomach problems. Um, Says muscle aches and pains. Yeah, I had muscle aches and pains. I take it for the pain, and when I'm not taking it, I'm I have pain. Um, Anxiety and irritability. Uh, yeah, I see that we're in an extinction event. We've had 1 million people die, 2 billion in food insecurity. Yeah, I'm a little anxious, you know, to get things going, but like nobody gives a shit. So, yeah, I'm irritated over that. Um, they say those are symptoms. maybe an increased amount. I don't know. Um, but yeah, those things are part of my daily life. Sweating and chills, I didn't notice those either. Um, and those symptoms usually peak in 72 hours and gradually subside over the next few days. And then they say, like, um, uh, hours 1 to 24, intense craving, nausea. Days 2, 3, muscle aches, anxiety. Day 4 or 5, sweats and chills. Um, a year living on codeine, you know, I, you know, I would much sacrifice 10 days if it actually did do that. And not everybody experienced that, and I didn't experience those symptoms. Um, they say ongoing recovery as detox transitions into the recovery phase. They might individuals may face a range of challenges as they work towards long-term sobriety. And this is rebuilding relationships, developing coping strategies, and addressing the underlying issues contributing to the addiction. I'm in pain. I'd be taking a painkiller to get rid of the pain. If there was a way to address the issue rather than rolling the dice on some back surgery that may or may not solve the problems, may fuck up even worse so that I'd be in extreme pain for the rest of my life, even worse, you know, just on a horrific level. That's a possibility as well. That's, um, I don't see the problems with those addiction uh, levels. Um, you know, uh, 30 minutes. So the kid was stealing it and abusing it, but to blame was the man that didn't keep it locked up and allowed access to a kid. You don't do that with a Schedule II narcotic. Um, but yeah, he was blamed by his wife or treated like crap because he was in pain. And people do that, you know? Because when you're in pain, you do stuff like destroy the kitchen to look for the pain pills. Well, I haven't destroyed the kitchen. Um, I do have a bottle around somewhere that has a codeine pill in it. Would love to find it and use it one day. Um, Especially after reading about the horrible withdrawals from addiction people would get from taking oxycodone. I mean, damn, 10 days? When I could be having pain-free days? They're just insane. Yeah, they talk about the problems with the trials, and one of the problems was some of them wanted more. Maybe they were in more pain than others and needed more to relieve the pain. Uh, 36. So the problem the FDA had with the application was that there was too much emotion, and they had to redesign the application because of too much emotion. And that was one of the problems. One would think in a movie condemning them, they would have something more serious. than the emotions argument in an application for approval. It doesn't sound like there was very serious flaws in the application. Um, I would say it would take, a few weeks to rewrite it. Yeah, her mom abused drugs, and it changed everybody's lives. There's probably many drugs her mom probably abused. Um, I don't know. Yeah, they met, they fixed the language, and got it approved. It wasn't the science that he had a problem with, I guess. It was just the language, you know. Oh, and yeah, having government employees that are basically paid for or come from industry or go to industry after that. That's standard practice with most all drug industry, the energy corporations, the auto industry. Um, just think about it. The country was made by the rich, for the rich, and for everybody. And they're corrupt. And they're corrupt with the world. Each country wants the best deal for themselves. Each country wants to do the best they can for their people. Um, and when they create industry, the government helps to create the industry for the rich, for themselves, and for the people. But yeah, it's corruption through and through. Every country is guilty of it. The rich are the ones that created the country. The rich are the ones that run the country. Without the rich, we'd be run by the Nazis. Um, yeah, they're not the best people in the world. They're what we got. Hopefully they don't diss me too much and steal too much of my money and help out. But yeah, the rich run the country, and yeah, um, pointing out that the drug industry has a connection with the FDA is like, duh. And the science was there. Apparently, it was the language. Well, I guess the language affects the science, but um, that's debatable. I don't know. 11 minutes. Do they have to have the tuba? Yes. Because that music by the tuba and organ music also does it. It'll stimulate your award center. And it's very good for meetings and very useful. Um, yeah, I would say yes to the tuba. The reason why it got approved so fast is because of the lobbyists for the drug companies working with the FDA. And that's also why they get their own people working in the industry. You know, most regulatory agencies are made up to regulate industry, and who better to regulate industry than somebody from that industry? Kind of makes a little bit of sense, but then you get corruption. Yeah, they say they want to bury the competition and take over the market with their drug cells, and of course they do. Um, doesn't every private industry want to do that? It's not healthcare for all. These are private industry with the drug companies doing this. You gotta expect it. That's the system we got. Well, it's not the fault that the doctors are not prescribing it. Um, they just don't know pain, and they don't know the effects of codeine. And they're all drilled in their head that the addiction is horrific, but it's the abusers that are the real problem, and the people that enable the abusers. But there's all sorts of things that can be abused. No reason to, you know, have a total desert of helping people that are in pain. Yeah, getting doctors to prescribe more dosage for more profit is a bad way to go. And of course, they want to make more money, and that's the way the industry goes. Um, to get doctors to go against their oath, that's, to wrong for them to try that. Yeah. Um, it's not necessarily that codeine is killing people, it's that the crushing of it and snorting of it or whatever that they're doing, um, that and the other opioids like heroin and what is that other one? Whatever. All the other opioids are causing deaths as well, and they're grouping the codeine with those other deaths. And any amount of codeine is considered a death by overdose. Even if it's not a death by overdose, the death is caused by something else, they'll still call it a death by overdose because that's the way the system is. Any amount in your system will be considered an overdose if you die with that amount in your system. Any amount. No matter if you're run over by another car. No matter if, that's the way they do it, and they call that science. So you got to question that number, and if they're going to use that number, then they should get it right and know that there's science behind it instead of this junk ass crap that they do. You don't know the number. You don't know the. It's like if they have 18 pills in their stomach at one time, you got to wonder: are they taking it as directive, or are they abusing it? And is it some kid that wants to commit suicide? Um, yeah, it turns out that codeine use is a good way to commit suicide. Um, some people have found that doing two or more methods works good, and I myself have spent some time thinking about the best way to kill livestock. To kill livestock, I would get them drunk on oddly created alcohol made from fruit and other stuff that were discarded. And then on the cow's last day, you'd get them drunk, and when they'd pass out, you'd put a bag over their head. And they'd die from, you know, not being able to breathe, but they'd be drunk and passed out. So they wouldn't get any stress involved, and put them in a cooler. 20 minutes later, all brain activity is gone, and then you're able to drain the blood without harming the animal and do whatever. Yeah, my mom died, and that was one of the methods that I was thinking of how she could commit suicide with, getting drunk and putting a bag over her head. Um, I I don't think doing massive coding and then putting a bag over your head would be a good idea, because you would go through the asphyxiation, um, and the coding would stop that really, uh, and there would be bad pain involved. But if you got drunk, you'd pass out. Um, anyhow, when I told that to the Death with Dignity people, they have their rules that they don't follow and don't give a crap about, that they spout are the reasons why that it's okay for them to, you know, do what they do, which I think is a good thing, except for them advocating or going along with people's decision not to get their stage 4 cancer removed and then take codeine afterwards to kill the pain, because codeine is so addictive. Uh, Makes me sick. Yeah, the cops go along with the policy of anybody who dies with a little bit of codeine or opioid in their system is considered to have been an overdose victim, and therefore it clears all types of cases of abuse, by police. When they sit there and step on their back and give them lots of pain, what kind of a goddamn piece of shit use a pain maneuver on an individual, that's acceptable to being taken. Um, I developed a set of gloves that could go on prisoners, plastic gloves that would like force the fingers into a locked position in front of them, and a little thing where you can clip the cell phone onto, if you have one, or using the one provided by the police that would connect you to a dispatcher. And the dispatcher can connect you to other people and monitor the other people and allow you to put them on and then go to the cop and not have to worry about things, and the cop doesn't have to worry about whether or not you're going to pull a gun out and shoot him, because if he's able to give you these cuffs and you put them on, attach the thing, but anyhow, whatever. Yeah, and it's a dangerous job being a cop, but sometimes they get pissed off, and some people, I think, do need a little bit of pain. But yeah, people will stop breathing and die. Uh, and to just blame it all on drug overdose when, if it wasn't for the situation that they were going through, they wouldn't have died. But the stress from the situation would be helpful in causing the death of many of people. Um, Whatever. But yeah, the police do take a part in the law, because they have lobbyists that will try to get some laws stated and decide on how the laws go so that it better helps them with law enforcement. So yeah, they have lobbyists for good reasons. Um, but, it's kind of a little ridiculous when any amount of an opioid is stated to be a overdose, and you sit there and call it science, and then people are supposed to respect the science and the people that quote the science as being knowledgeable individuals. You can't trust them. Sorry. Yeah, I guess her mom was a crack addict before she died of an overdose of codeine, I guess. But she was maybe she died of just crack, because I guess the guy was selling rocks, so that makes me think that he was selling crack. Because he said she was already in, but she's then comparing oxycodone to a crack addict, and that somehow oxycodone manufacturers is equivalent to her brother selling crack. I don't think so, because he doesn't ask the age, he doesn't ask if it's for pain, he doesn't consult with the proper way to do it. Obviously, she overdosed. It looks like, comparing, relieving pain to doing crack, it's not the same thing. It's not the same use of opioids. There are much better methods to get high than to use oxycodone. And yeah, that's why her mom overdosed on crack. 37 minutes. This is episode 3. Last few, I guess, were from episode 3. Anyhow, comparing the crack addict, crack addiction epidemic to oxycodone and the sales increase, and comparing all the other crimes and everything, having it all blamed on, how Oxycontin is doing it all. Any society where bad things are happening, people are more and more on the increase, population's just skyrocketing. Of course, crime's going to increase. Of course, everything's going to increase. Especially if we could have a society like China, Yeah, all these interesting intros into the program. Now on episode 4, and I just gotta say that, my mom died in pain. She committed suicide because of pain. She probably would have died in the next couple weeks anyway, so they tell me. But yeah, my mom died because of the pain. And she was kept from painkillers by people. She died because of pain. And I would have loved if she spent the last 2 years of her life not in pain. But that's my mother, and she's dead now, and nothing you can do about it. And you can't bring back the last 2 years of her life, and you can't make them pain free now. You can't do that, can you, Death with Dignity? No. Nope, can't do it. It's all done. Yeah, she's comparing them to crack dealers. Saying that they're crack dealers, wanting to take them down. And that's... Yeah, thinking that the sale of oxycodone is gonna, stopping the sales of that is gonna stop the crack epidemic, when there's fentanyl going all over the country. And I've heard stories of people using fentanyl to actually take care of their pain, and it's used to take care of pain on a serious level. But you got guys self-medicating themselves on fentanyl when oxycodone could be used. And so Yeah, episode 4, 1225, Attack the Lowlife Abusers. I mean, there's much better ways if you wanted to get high than oxycodone. And for people to, you know, attack the people in pain using it is not the way to do it. And people are going to get high and die of stupidity. Um, I don't know, we're going to have 2 billion die of starvation, I'm betting. You know, somebody wants to take 20 pills and die, they know it's going to happen. Yeah, and looking over the different stuff, it looks like there's like uh, there's like 8.3 million people in New York, and if there's 14 suicides per 100,000, that'd be like 1,000 people a day, a month in New York committing suicide. And you know, if one of the methods to commit suicide is to use different drugs and methods to commit suicide, yeah, I could see this being a problem with people using it to commit suicide if that's what you want to prevent. And if it wasn't for their having access with codeine, I don't know if that would stop the suicide rate. Um, yeah, looks bad. Uh, Wish people were taken care of so they didn't commit suicide. But even taking care of people, there are a lot of people with problems, you know. Talk to any vet, right? Um, Life is fucked in a lot of ways. Uh, it, about destroying everybody's life, I mean, it's their decision to blame the opioid addiction. Um, is that the problem with the opioid addiction, or is that a problem because he's in severe pain and taking opioid pills, or is he snorting it to get an excessive high? Um, these are all things to consider. But obviously, the kid's stealing it and addicted to other drugs as well, caffeine, using caffeine at an early age. Um, Probably drinking beer and maybe other stuff too. Um, but yeah. Side note, um, I'm reading the National Library of Medicine. Uh, what is this? Prescription Oxycontin abuse among patients entering addiction treatment. So apparently they've been questioning people that have gone into addiction treatment. And for oxycodone, um, that was one of the things that they asked questions about. And of all the people entering the treatment, most of them, 66% reported use of cocaine, 69% reported use of heavy alcohol use, 75% reported using pot, and of the 8 out of the 1,425 individuals categorized as users of oxycodone reported no use of any additional drugs other than alcohol. And 4 of these patients were older males who were admitted for alcohol problems only, and the other 4 were patients, younger male with no medical problems, and they used it to get high and spent $1,700 on the drug getting high. Um, that's why they didn't use cocaine. I don't know if they're going to spend $1,700. I I'm not into that. I don't have that kind of money anyhow. But whatever. Yeah, it doesn't look like they have much drug treatment problems for people long term uh, problems using it. And I went over what the place said. Ridiculous. Yeah, the guy's treated like crap, blamed for everything, and then when he's in no condition to drive, told to drive home. What a great family. What great friends. His son's like stealing his drugs too. It's like amazing, you know. Uh, and he's in pain all the time. Sucky life. Yeah, I guess people saying that the makers of the drug were making poison and having his kid getting the shit kicked out of him. That's bad. Um, Bullies will kick the shit out of other kids for various reasons. Um, yeah, bad.
Those crocodiles, actually.
Episode 4, 27 minutes. Yeah, it's a letter to the editor concerning a study, and the word landmark is a very subjective word. And the study showed that it was had a less than 1% addictive rate, and that was for short-term supervised. But they didn't mention that in their advertising. Do they go into the details of all the studies? No. Most places wouldn't do that. But I would suggest a study being done to show what the addiction rate is, instead of just saying that their addiction rate is wrong because the statement doesn't include everything that they would include in a study, and therefore they're falsifying the study. Yeah, it could be considered misrepresentation if you were to say that it represents the whole deal or whatever. You could also say that what they said was perfectly, fine. The thing is to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. But then you might take up 200 pages. I don't know. I don't see the illegality of that. Yeah, and it's not taken into other long-term opioid use. So, yeah, if you want to include heroin and other stuff in the thing, other opioids, using his statement, yeah, the percentage would be higher. 2830, the use of the balls is just totally unnecessary. Talking about putting a firewall between their name and the product, and how that's a bad thing. Yeah, well, energy corporations do it. The drilling companies are different from the pipeline companies. So when the pipeline bursts, they'll take the hit instead of the people pumping out and making the real profit. Standard practice. That's how people don't get sued. This country's built for the rich, by the rich, and yeah, they're not going to get their asses sued. um, standard practice. Yeah, it's not that we wouldn't get, we would be untreated. We would just be using less good painkillers. So, but yeah, not treated well. So they lied to Congress. Did the guy know he was lying? Did the guy, even if he didn't know he was lying, he should have to correct his incorrect statement after finding out about it. His responsibility would be to tell him that that was a lie. I don't know. Um, but yeah, climate scientists lie to Congress because they don't know what they're talking about. You know, like they get tricked into talking and saying how much they feel such and such, and like the CO2 content in the atmosphere, how it's been rising since the last ice age, and crap like that. You know, I don't see that so horrific, but yeah, it could be considered a really bad crime by some, especially if they're out to get you, no matter whether or not the science is right or not. I mean, if they could show that, you know, the addiction rate is higher than 1%, and come up with a list of names that are just for the opioid, oxycontin or whatever, then yeah, good job. But if you're gonna mix oxycontin and heroin or whatever, you know, you don't got the science right, possibly. Depending on what factor you're looking at. And most of them, you know, that deal with addiction and drug treatment and deaths, codeine isn't as bad as the other ones. At least not from what I've seen. Yeah, of all the overdoses they claim, I mean, to only have two of them that only use OxyContin, and one of them was a suicide. And it is concerning. I'd love to hear why someone overdosed on oxycodone, even if it's only one person that wasn't using other drugs. You know, you know, it's a lot different than the what the um, what that place said about the National Library of Medicine. You know, talked about. Um, oh well, or the study that was on the people that were entering treatment centers that were asked additional questions about the reasons why they came into a clinic to fight addiction.
The sole molecule involved. That's correct. And one of those was a suicide.
Yeah, 30 minutes, episode 5, saying that, yeah, when you misuse it and chop it up, I guess it's addictive as fuck. And they knew that a year before the case. But, yeah, you could abuse whatever. You could sniff glue. You could take 500 Tylenol. You know? People are notified that codeine misuse is bad. You know? Uh, yeah. Um, so the one person, I guess, that overdosed on codeine, maybe he was misusing it. They don't get into that. You know, she doesn't tell him how she's misusing it and sniffing it, um, and therefore having issues. Yeah, it'd get bad if you do that sort of thing. 30 pills a day, that's pretty unbelievable. Uh, you know, that's just insane. Why would anybody let it get that bad or do that? I would think 30 pills a day would kill you. Um, just insane. Kid's talking like he's got a bad father after taking pain medication from his father. I mean, what kind of monster steals your pain medication? And then thinks that you're an evil piece of shit. You know, you're stealing from somebody who has a medical condition, and then he gets in trouble because he's not controlling his pills, and the son's at fault because he's like, you know, causing it. Then the guy turns into, you know, street help. I'm sick of this storyline. I mean, the amount of pain that this kid shows while he has no problem stealing the medication from someone in pain. And the mother, his wife, the guy's wife, just blames him, kicks him out of the house, you know, yells at him. Damn. So they need to get one person to flip to get their case going. So they use good intimidation tactics and other tactics to try to get someone to flip. You know, like, you're going to jail unless you flip and give us all the information. You know, nice to threaten, yeah, that's cool. Oh, and to lie about it too, you know. Lying about the fact that they're going to court and going to get arrested if they don't flip. It seems like some sort of a lie's going on there. So they're good liars, I guess. God, just got done watching the last bit, and it's like ridiculous. We've got multi-state lawsuits going. Purdue Pharma filed for bankruptcy, and that was because they lied to Congress. And they say over 300,000 deaths in 20 days. What is it?
You conceded.
300,000 people have died over the past 2 decades. So that's 20 years. So that's 15,000 people a year. And they put together a list of names of people that died of Oxycontin during the lawsuit, and they could only come up with one that wasn't a suicide, that didn't have other drugs from other things, except for, what was it, nicotine and caffeine. And how much did he take? Did he sniff it? The drug treatments the only people that, didn't have other addictions with alcohol or heroin or other heavy duty narcotics that also um, went along with the use of oxycodone. But then the prosecutor, the main one, was all saying that there was 500,000 people that died of overdose, and she blames her mom for dying of the overdose when it was her brother that sold her mom crack cocaine, and blames Purdue Pharma for her mom's death, as if Purdue Pharma was selling crack cocaine, as if anything is really addictive as crack cocaine. But you could label it, however you want, I guess. And but anyhow, it's stating that 300,000 people have died of opioids overdoses involving prescription painkillers like oxycodone, cotton, whatever. I mean, if they're taking other drugs and doing other things and they have opioids in their system, they'll label it an opioid death. And a lot of times they'll have health conditions that the use will cause to exacerbate and cause the death. So if they have like severe heart conditions, yeah, it's really not a good idea to sit there and snort, it's not a good idea in any case. But to sit there and say that people taking painkillers to relieve themselves of pain are going to overdose due to this type of information is just a joke. And over 40 people die in the U.S. from opioid overdoses every single day. Well, they include people that get killed by other people, as shown in a famous court case. Got asphyxiated, he couldn't breathe, and they labeled him a opioid overdose. If they're going to do that, you got to question the 40 people who die every day, the 300,000 people that die. If you're not going to use science, don't use science and stay the fuck out of it. Stay the fuck out of it. Just shut the fuck up. God damn you to hell. Every single one of you medical people that sit there and diagnose the death as codeine that don't know what the fuck you're talking about because you're not a medical doctor and you didn't take an oath even to do no harm. You're just put in there as a medical examiner who takes the test and says, oh, there was some amount of opioids, so therefore it's an opioid overdose. It's like dumb as shit. Dumb as shit. I don't respect the medical community. I don't respect the people that are, prosecuting these people. I don't respect the police officers that sit there and go along with this crap. I don't respect the police union that sits there and has these laws enacted. Sure, they need to go after people. Sure, they need to protect themselves. But damn, man. Just say you can't prosecute police officers and leave it at that. And that police officers will, if they do something wrong or they are found to be bad officers, marking them as bad officers and don't allow them to have a gun again. You know? It's not very hard. And if somebody makes a mistake, you can do that, let them off the force, and let them enjoy a good life. Just don't let them shoot at more people. You know, but you don't need to sit there and put this in there. And you can also create laws that allow you to prosecute somebody because they're of suspicion for the U.S. security. And just leave it at that. And tell people to fuck off. You know, there's no need to lie. You know, get some fucking integrity. Oh well. And I guess one of the last things is as of March 2023, the final approval for Purdue's farmers' bankruptcy is still pending. Well, I hope it just goes the fuck away. I mean, let's prosecute the prosecutor for sitting there and prosecuting a case that, you know, you're blaming your problems of your brother selling your mom crack cocaine and then her dying from it, and then blaming it on pharma because you're a crazy ass bitch. Like she said in the thing, cuckoo, 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 cuckoo. And you're really pissing me off because I like to have my pain removed. And I think codeine is a good drug. You know, I think it has some bad problems because people abuse it and will snort it or abuse it some other way. Yeah, but it relieves a lot of pain, and it would have been good for my mom to have had it during the past couple of years of her life. And the fact that these goddamn prosecutors will lie and use intimidation and sit there and get facts wrong, sitting there stating shit like there's 500,000 people that have died because of it, when she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. There's not 500,000 people died. You know that they're fucking using science that's flawed, and there's lies involved in the science. So you can't even trust the science. But when you dig down to it, and you find out that, oh, even with that, you know, all the ones that are done with Oxycontin or mixed with other drugs or complete suicide, or, you know, little kids crushing him and snorting him up, knowing that it causes death when you're doing that, and it causes other problems. And damn, I mean, you want to get your brain activated, your award center activated, go to church. You know, they put monitors on the brain, and they found that the award center of the brain is activated just upon going to church, upon hearing the church organ. The problem is it happens when you pray about it and when you study the Bible. You know, gets into how is the brain's award center activated for that. But yeah, it gets activated for that. Maybe they are talking to God. But when every religion sits there and is able to connect that way, weird, but they all come up with different messages. It's like they're getting something wrong. And I think they're really pissed off that the award center is activated by other things other than going to church. If you're a good Christian, the award center is activated more so, and you get more of an addiction going to church. And when your award center is going to church, that's very addictive, and your brain wants more of it. And if it's not getting that award center activated by anything else, not by alcohol, not by other drugs, only by going to church. It gives it a better activation when you're going to church and you're not doing anything. The drugs are automatically produced in your brain, and they activate the reward center more strongly that way, are reinforced that way, so that your brain will want you to go to church and get that reward center activated. And then that makes you start going to church more and more and more and more. And every time you do it, every time you experience it, it reinforces your beliefs that you're doing the right thing and a good thing, and to come back to church, and that what you're learning in church sticks with you more. Sorry, spider. So, I mean, you got the self-fulfilling reinforcement and things, and every religion has it. They all come up with something different, that they're the only ones that are communicating with God, and that all the other religions are wrong, and they're the only ones that are going into heaven. Or some might feel that others are going into heaven too, but basically, they think they're doing good because their reward center's activated. And these people will sit there and sue drug companies because they're being told that smoking is evil. Environmentalists are evil, the leftists are evil, Democrats are evil. Other religions will say that other religions are evil. Anybody that doesn't do this is evil. That Christians have to live below you. That, and the Protestants in Russia are telling them how, just on and on. But this shit that they're doing against drug corporations, providing painkillers, because they feel it ruins the dying experience. They feel it ruins the grieving experience. But they don't say that. They just warn that it affects those experiences. And warning that it affects those experiences, and telling them to be concerned about it, is basically advocating against that use. And that's basically because they're good. It's like a Christian agenda. I'm not sure if, I'm sure they all don't think all the same way, and it's like government taking the corporations. The corporations are made by the government, and they all go along together, even though there's different branches and different corporations spun off by the governments. And they're not going to sit there and shut one another down. They're all on the same side, basically. It's crazy. But yeah, if you want to stop people from being addicted, shut down the churches. Don't let people go to church. They learn how to hate, and how other people are evil, and how to steal from smokers. If you're worried about addiction, that is. Because church is way more fucking addictive than anything else out there. But we let that go on. Might want to think about that a little bit too. Instead of just murdering people willy-nilly. I mean, you say you have rules. I didn't raise my fucking hand. No. But you did anyhow. I thought you'd kick me out of there. Or force me to raise my hand by saying, we need you to raise your hand and use a guilt or something like that. Instead, you did it. I bawled my eyes out, walked outside. I mean, I just can't believe the actions. keeping my mom from having that codeine when she asked for it. God damn you to hell. Not giving her codeine during the last 2 years of her life after she got stage 4 breast cancer, and convincing her not to get it removed because you didn't want to go through the pain. God damn you to hell. I'm sorry, but I hate at least some of the people in this Death for Dignity pieces of shit organization. I wish they would stop, and I wish the Christian agendas would stop. And it's stealing. And by your definition, it's murder. You know, because you say you don't do it unless certain conditions are done, so to avoid being called a murderer, well, you fucking did it. Whatever. You know, it's fucking shit. Anyhow, that's my story on Purdue Pharma and the codeine and Painkiller. Have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll try to respond, and I'll try to do more videos soon. Have a good one.